society cannot be rationally understood until it is seen for what it is. A series of farms where human farmers own human livestock. This human farming has been the most profitable and destructive occupation throughout history.
Ideas spread, they can't stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government. Persistence is not futile. We're gonna win this thing. Humankind is too good. We're not a bunch of underachievers. We're gonna stand up and we're gonna be human beings. We're gonna get fired up about the real things, the things that matter. Creativity and the dynamic human spirit that refuses to submit.
Our nation is drifting dangerously from freedom to fascism. So I have to ask, is it time?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Big Plantation. I'm your host, Keith Smith, and we have Jamie Martin here as well. How you doing, Jamie?
Doing wonderful today, Keith. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty darn good. Mike Heiss could not make the show tonight. He had family trouble. We hope everything works out. But we got a big show for you today. I'd love to dive into the whole Chief Kessler thing. And we'd also like to talk about, the war in Syria, what was it you wanted to talk about, Jamie?
I want to get into what's going on with the Fed coming up. I mean, we're at the end of the 99-year charter, and some moving and shaking is going to go around. Maybe the economy is going to crash, and who the hell knows?
Oh, well, can I tell you a little something about that 99-year charter?
Yeah?
It doesn't exist.
Oh, well, news to me.
Yeah, it's news to a lot of people. What actually happened was the Fed was made into law. They passed a law saying that the charter is basically null and void. So Congress gave them indefinite power, so the Fed will be around forever. Or until they destroy themselves.
That's a terrible shame.
Yeah. Well, I was trolling around Facebook, reading things, and I came across this one post, and basically, it really grabbed my attention. And Anthony Boiler, from the Peaceful Streets Project, posted a picture of a conversation that somebody had calling, people retards and a bunch of profanities. And when they did so, they were degrading people. And I was like, yeah, I can see, this is wrong. And it gives the wrong picture of the liberty movement and everything. And then I saw somebody posting on there, and they brought up Chief Kessler. I don't know how that got in there, but, I was like, well, it just happened this week, I believe, that they decided to fire him. And, why don't we talk about it? Do you know much about it, Jamie?
I mean, I've done a little bit of research, especially because I knew this was going to be a big topic on the show. Mark Kessler, I don't necessarily disagree with him, but I don't necessarily agree with what he did either. I mean, he was definitely exercising his free speech and whatnot, and, advocating his Second Amendment rights. But at the same time, he's really pushing for he took it a little far being a police chief, and I mean, you do have it's an office of respect to hold. You need to act accordingly with your position. So,
Yeah, I'm basically in the same position as you are. I'm like, free speech is great, but there is responsibility that comes with free speech. Now, if you think that you're gonna, like, if I was to go at my job and scream at the top of my lungs, the New World Order is going to take everybody and throw them into camps. Well, then, chances are my customers would be like pretty scared of me and, not use me anymore. And they wouldn't want their neighbors, because I'm in construction. It's not proper for the job site. Now, I did notice that Anthony Antonello had him on, or did an interview with him, I guess about a year ago. And maybe a little less than that. And he was in uniform, and he was very respectable. Did you see that interview? Jamie?
I'm sorry. My mic was what was that, Keith?
Did you see the interview with Anthony Antonello with Chief Kessler?
I actually did not get to catch that interview with Anthony Antonello and Mark Kessler, no.
Yeah, he did it a little while ago, but the Chief Kessler was in uniform. And what he said to Anthony was like, basically, I will take off my uniform and put down my badge to stand with liberty and the Constitution. And when I saw that interview, it's about 7-8 minutes long. So, it's kind of long. I'd like to play it, but it's long and it goes on because I just recommend people look it up. Go to Anthony's YouTube channel. You can watch it. Actually, we could probably bring up a short version here. If the producer can bring it up. Can you bring it up, producer? Is there a short version for it?
So your resolution makes it where if the federal government tries to make certain laws that say, more regulations, more rules and regulations, okay, as of right now you're saying, not as of right now, but it's basically that you won't enforce those laws, correct?
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. I will not enforce anything, any kind of unconstitutional laws, and in particular, I will not enforce anything that they say that goes against the Second Amendment, ever. I'll put myself between them, and I will, trust me, when I tell you this, I mean it. I will take my uniform off, and I will stand with freedom before I stand with the tyrannical thugs. Absolutely not. I will not, in any way, shape, or form, support anything that goes against the Constitution or the Second Amendment. I will not disarm anyone in my borough or anyone in the country as far as that's concerned. You look at what happened down in Katrina, down in Louisiana, where they deputized all these police officers as marshals or federal agents from all over the country, and they're beating up 80-year-old women because they had a little revolver in their hand. That's disturbing. That's disgusting. The oath these thugs took, they violated their oath, and they're thugs. They're nothing more than thugs, and they disgust me.
Geez, my second question, you totally, or my next question, you totally answered it, and that was excellent. And I guarantee you, if you were ever put in a position like that, everybody here in this room would be standing shoulder to shoulder with you because we have made our, drawn our line in the sand as well.
Wow, I mean, like. Right after I saw that interview, I mean, first off, I'm like, Anthony's on the spot. I love Anthony. I'm glad he's there. He's reporting it. But what do you think of that?
I mean, hearing that, he's definitely something I would have fallen behind. Obviously, seeing his more recent stuff, it changes my opinion a little bit. But
all right, well, we'll get into that. We have these clips, and we're gonna do them in procession here.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'd like to play the next clip, which is actually it's the UN Kerry clip. All right, and I want this to play, but first I want everyone to know that I am 100% behind this clip. I mean, I saw this clip and I was like, man, this guy is on top of it. He is not messing around. And I if he's not in uniform, there's nothing wrong with what he's saying right here. So if you can go ahead and roll that.
I want to make this video today because they're at it again. They just don't know when to quit. And neither do we. Kerry says U.S. will sign UN treaty on arms regulations despite lawmakers' opposition. Secretary of State John Kerry, that piece of shit traitor. Who is he to decide what we can and can't own? And fuck the UN. Who are they to decide what we, the American people, can own? I have a message to Kerry and to these cocksuckers over in the UN. Here's your fucking agreement. Sign anything you want to sign. It's not going to mean shit. It don't fucking mean shit to me. You know what I have to say? Come and take it, motherfuckers! Come and get it!
Yeah! I mean, come and take it, I mean, it just pumps me up. I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. I mean, not just me. Everybody that I am friends with in the Second Amendment community feels that way. You want to come take my guns, UN? Come and take it. And if I had a fully automatic, I'd be pumping out videos left and right just like that. But, that upset people. It upset a lot of people. I mean, what do you think of that, Jamie? I mean, what do you feel about that?
I can definitely see why it would upset some people because, I mean, it definitely isn't the more politically correct way of handling things, especially for the position of power that he was in. I could see why people wouldn't receive that very well, but I don't disagree with his message at all.
Yeah, well, you think of the first clip we played. He was calling the majority of cops thugs, Well, all down there at Katrina, he was calling them for what they are, traitors. I mean, he's basically saying that, they federalized and they abused their power, and he was totally against them and obviously upset by it. And, I mean, he even went on to say, here's a quote for him. They want to kick butts and take names and ruin lives over nonsense. They terrorize people over a turn signal. I've got better things to do than worry about somebody who's got a broken taillight. Seriously, I do. All right? Now, I totally felt that, 100%. And I'm right on with this guy at this point. We do have a phone call here on line 2. Darren, are you on the line?
Yes, here I am.
How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
So, I'm interested in what your point of view of the Chief Kessler fiasco, shall we call it?
Yeah, it's a fiasco all around, that's for sure. It's in some ways it's hard to know where to start because to a degree as an anarchist, I say, well, fire them all the law enforcement people. But the fact that they picked on Kessler, though, is a little disturbing. On the other hand, it has to be said, those videos were terrible. They were an embarrassment. I watched them and I was like, oh boy, here we go. This guy really stuck his foot in his mouth. I don't know.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Darren. I mean, on the level of what you're saying, like fire them all, what I don't get is why is it that the ones that are violating people's constitutional rights left and right all the time, why aren't they on blast for this more so than somebody that may be a little bit off the deep end? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that equivalently deserve to be in the seat that Mark Kessler's in right now.
Well, yes, they deserve it, but I think you have to look at it from the point of view of who are they serving. They violate our rights, but they're upholding the system, the establishment, whatever you want to call it. So, of course, the system establishment isn't going to fire them. They're going to give them medals. It's a sad situation. So, yeah, I mean, I liked some of what Kessler stood for and the way he talked about, I'm not going to confiscate guns. I'm not going to violate people's rights. That was great. Some people talked about being afraid of him. I think that's ridiculous. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, well, he still is law enforcement. He still is part of the system. And again, going back to some of the things that he said and did, I mean, I understood that he hauled in some of the people on the borough council and did cavity searches on them and things like this.
Oh.
I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I mean, again, you can't believe everything on the internet, but that's what I heard. And I'm a little bit like,
I agree with you. You can't believe everything on the internet. I do know that it is a police report with the state police that he got into a fight or an altercation a couple years ago at a bar and shot himself in the hand. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad person. Everybody makes mistakes.
He's just a bad shot.
I'm 100% behind him. At this point, in the videos we just played, I'm like 100% behind him. And I'm like, okay, you took off your uniform, you made some YouTube videos, you told people at the United Nations to bug off, and I'm behind you. And it was pretty extreme, and it scared some people, especially in the liberal community, who tend to get scared of a butterfly flaps their wings. But I'd like to play this last clip here, and this will kind of put things in perspective. And I did not see this clip until today, and when I saw this completely changed my view on him 100%. And it's a recent clip where he He's talking about an SKS that he had outfitted. Can you go ahead and roll that, producer?
Hey, it's Chief Kessler. I want to talk to you a little bit about the SKS. This is a Chinese SKS. This was one of the first rifles I ever owned. I sent it and had it done at customgunfinishes.com. Troy is the one who did this weapon. It was redone in Russian red and OD green with the Durcoat. Now, the reason I like this weapon is because it's easy to get the ammo for them. All right, the 7.62 by 39 millimeter is very plentiful right now compared to the 5.56 AR-15 round. Not only that, but it has a bayonet on it. Now, it has a 20 round non-detachable magazine, a Tapco mag, which we had installed. It's the top load. You load it down from the top. It's a semi-automatic version. Safe, fire. This gun.
Video
awesome.
seems so innocent.
And I'll tell you why. Because when you're done shooting the fuck out of them, you can take the bayonet, okay, and then you take this bayonet and you stick them in the fucking face, okay, and then you twist it and you pull it out. And if they're still coming at you, once you stick somebody in the fucking face with this bayonet and the rest of their little fucking butt buddies keep charging you, then you stick the next one in the fucking chest cavity and you twist it and pull it out and you kick them in the fucking chest as you're doing it. And then when they're down, you stick them in the fucking face a couple more times or in their fucking chest. And then you get until you get a chance to reload, obviously. But that's
okay.
One of the
that's enough.
benefits.
Yeah, that's definitely enough.
You know, I skipped over another clip because I might as well just cut to the chase here, because the other clip is the one that, you know, got him fired, and he's basically using targets that are councilmen, and he refers them to as like libtard Mark, and Mark is one of the councilmen. So he's being vague. They're vague threats. But, you know, somebody like this that has power over people, it really shows you that this is the problem. This is the type of people that are out there that can have power over you. I mean, I don't know him on a personal level, so I can't say whether if this is just an act or if he's really, you know, wants to hurt people.
Or he's drunk.
Or he's drunk.
He makes
you don't
Jones
know.
look like a teddy bear in comparison
is Darren
with watching
still
the
there
Pierce
on the
Morgan.
line?
Yes, I'm here.
What do you think about it?
Well, when he talks about the bayonets and all of that, it reminds me of some things I've read that Che Guevara said. But he talked about you know, the thrill of killing people and all this in battle. It's disgusting. I don't know what to say. I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah, I
don't
know.
know.
And I came across that today, and
I
that's
just
why
have a
it
hard
just
time
completely
thinking.
changed my view 100% on him. So
Well,
I know there's a lot of people out there that are defending his position, including Anthony Antonello. And I don't know if Anthony's listening right now, but I'd love to get his point of view when he calls in he'll be calling in on our second segment. And, you know, just what does he think of this? I mean, does this mean that he went off the deep end after losing his job? I mean, this is, you know, a big
this
deal.
was the aftermath? This was after he lost his job he made that video?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
And if not, he knew he was losing his job. I mean, everybody knew he was losing his job. So he knew it was like written in stone. He just had to wait until the councilmen, you know, got together and said, okay, yeah, because he was an insurance risk. The insurance company contacted the mayor and said, we're not going to cover this police officer of yours anymore. He seems to, you know, like a loose firecracker, you know?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see how the state would view him as a liability at that point.
So, Darren, what do you think about, you know, how scary is it that there are people with power over people on the small scale all the way up to the Nobel Peace Prize winning scale that have these kind of thoughts.
It's pretty scary. It very definitely is. I think that most people have the sense not to make videos like that, but you don't know what's going on in their heads, and you get glimpses of it sometimes. People that it slips out every now and then. What I'm wondering about, though, when I think of this whole Kessler thing, is I wonder what pressures from where were brought to bear to get rid of him. To look at the big picture here. I mean, was this just the local city council that was acting on its own? Were there forces higher up that were saying, whoa, we got to make sure that we don't have any Constitution, following sheriffs and police officers out there? We better squash this guy quick.
Well, I'm willing to bet that there was definitely a higher push down because of just the national level that this reached. I'm sure somebody said that, this dude's got to go, and we got to do it by whatever means we can. And I'm sure that the local government just complied at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of handed it to them. I think one of you brought up the question that did he know that he was going to lose his job? And anyways, maybe, who knows? You got to interview him.
Well, Anthony Antonello was the only honest media that was up there doing fair and balanced, stealing it from Fox News, right? Doing fair and balanced reporting on what was going on up there. And I noticed in one of his videos there was a large group of people there, and the majority of them were from the town, and they supported Chief Kessler. And then there was a small group of people, and they were from out of town, and they came with signatures of 10,000 people demanding, it was a 10,000 person petition demanding that he gets, fired. And I was amazed by it because I'm like, who is this guy? And Anthony was doing a great job. He got out there and he just called the guy out. He's like, who are you? What are you doing here? Why do you have these petitions? And he called him out, and the guy was a typical secretive, liberal group. Who knows what group it is? And it was actually kind of scary to see his reaction when Anthony called him out on it. He's like, look at these people here. They're here to support him. And who are you? And, the town's only 700 people, How can there be 10,000 signatures to have him fired, Yeah,
that is a little nuts. I mean, I just don't understand exactly what went on in his mind to make him think that this was probably the best way of handling things. Like, just to see how, to think that this was going to be well received. I mean, I don't know if he did it necessarily for publicity or, what do you think, Keith? Do you think he just to get onto the national stage?
Well, he claims to have a $100,000 contract. So if he should be let go without probable cause, he could get $100,000. But I don't know if the contract's real. I don't know if there's something in it. I don't think that the council read it, and if it says that even if I'm fired, I get a $100,000 severance pay. And the way contract law works is he can go to court and he's going to win. And if he wins, he's going to get his money, and he could start his own business. Anybody that's got $100,000 coming to him can basically, do what they want to do in their life. And I hope that happens for him.
Oh, definitely.
I really do. So, that could be a possibility. But, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that there was some kind of force behind there to get rid of him right after he had that interview with Anthony Antonello. And I think Anthony Antonello kind of had a big play to do with that, because Anthony is obviously being followed by the mainstream media as a source of information. And because he's alternative media, he's breaking news,
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, Anthony definitely is Philadelphia area is, We Are Change-esque kind of organization.
Yeah, he's a little far from Philadelphia.
Well.
He's up northeastern PA. But, he does come down to Philadelphia all the time, and he records events. He was our first live streamer at End the Fed. So, first time we had a live stream setup, and that was awesome, I mean, like, I'm kind of done, swinging from Anthony's balls right now, but,
Yeah, I mean, we went down to Bilderberg with him. He's always a really nice guy. He's always got, great interviews, great questions, pretty straight to the point when he gets up there talking to people and whatnot, and I really enjoy that about him.
Well, I think that, to bring it, kind of to a conclusion here from what I think that he could have, his last videos that he made up until I seen this SKS one, he could have just taken it and done something with it. Maybe gotten politically active, started his own firearms website, become an outspoken critic of firearm laws and gone to work for Gun Owners of America, become a spokesman there or NRA, and gone somewhere. Nobody's going to touch him now. Nobody.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely got some serious problems ahead of him. I mean, it's like I was saying. It was in that environment when Jones got onto the Piers Morgan show and went apeshit, and like everybody had a big controversy about that. That's when I feel like all of this stuff started snowballing with a lot of different areas. And I remember reading about Mark Kessler because the things they were doing in that area of Pennsylvania, they had basically federal law will not set whatever precedent you're going to place inside of this county. We are not going to relinquish our firearms. Like I was really on board when all of this started coming out. I mean, PA was, one of the torchbearers for that whole movement of, the federal government doesn't have the right to tell you if you can or can't have firearms. And I really support the state's movement idea behind that of,
Pennsylvania, I do love Pennsylvania for the fact of its firearm laws are less stringent than most of the countries. And, when I went to an open carry event down in Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania, for our listeners that are not from Pennsylvania and don't know. It's our capital, and it's a capital set up from the start to be a capital, so it kind of looks like Washington, D.C. It's got a big Capitol building, and the event was held right in front of the Capitol building, right at the front steps when you walk up. And here are hundreds of people with ARs, AKs, open carrying pistols, and no police, no security, and one liberal heckler that came up and somebody was like, get lost, and she, everybody looked at her and she ran.
Yeah. No, that is something I love that about PA.
I mean, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. It's really cool because Pennsylvania is, with the exception of Philadelphia, is very conservative when it comes to the laws, when it comes to firearms. And the police officers tend to respect it. And even in Philadelphia, that's one thing that's changed in the past couple of years is people, taking that and pushing it because it's considered a first-class city, and you're not allowed to open carry a firearm or carry a firearm without a license. So you have to have a permit to do it there. But if you got the permit, you can do it. And the mayor had it out order on the street by the police to arrest people even if they had permits, to try to deter them.
Now he just seizes gun stores through eminent domain laws and whatnot, and that's his new strategy. But
yeah. Well, everybody knows that he's he's one of those. He's part of the problem. He's like he's one of the little stooges that the establishment uses, just like Bloomberg. But when we're gonna get a break here. But before we go to break, I just want to let you know we're gonna have Anthony Antonello here. He's coming back on the next segment here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to The Big Plantation, and we'll be back right after this commercial.
I am cold, and I am silent, and I'm hoping.
In 1997, a high school shooting was stopped by a vice principal with a gun. In 1998, a middle school shooting was ended by a neighbor with a gun.
In 2002, a terrorist attack was stopped by a school guard and a teacher with a gun. After September 11th, pilots began carrying guns to protect their passengers. Let's give our schools and teachers the same option. Sign the petition at defendschools.com.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore. Due to the recent revelations that in order to fight terrorism, the NSA has been using a secret court order to spy on every single Verizon and AT&T customer, Americans have become outraged and concerned about their rights to privacy. But along with that concern comes a feeling of hopelessness. I mean, what can we do? Vote in new leaders? Well, the problem is that during an election, each candidate pretends to not be an asshole. Then when they get the job, they reveal that they've actually been a complete asshole this entire time. No, elections are of no use. The only way to fight back against our country's excessive wiretapping and data mining is to make it irrelevant. That's why we're launching Operation Everyone Talk Like a Terrorist all the time. If we all openly discuss terrorist plots in each of our phone conversations, then eavesdropping on those phone conversations becomes pointless. It's simple. We just need to work it into our daily vernacular. For example, instead of saying, "I love you," you could describe a terror attack. The larger the scale, the more you love the person.
Hi, Mom. I just got out of school. Can you pick me up?
I'll be there in 15 minutes. I'm going to use a truck bomb to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge.
I'm mailing anthrax to Pierce to Morgan.
Or, nonsense about God's will being great could mean affirmative.
Hey, man, they have a 7:30 show, and do you think you can make it in time?
God is merciful and his love is unchanging. Did you already get me a ticket?
And those are just a few examples. You can make up your own. Have fun with it. But it's time for us to stand up and protect our rights. Because those assholes aren't going to.
Do you have a group or organization founded on the principles of personal liberty, health freedom, or accountable government? We invite you to check out Same Side Entertainment. Get connected with leaders in the liberty movement like Tom Woods, Kevin Gutzman, Jack Hunter, Robert Scott Bell, Michael Scheuer, and many more. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website at www.samesideentertainment.com. Again, that's www.samesideentertainment.com. Same Side Entertainment, connecting you with the education and resources you need.
Tired of living in a violent society? If every citizen was armed, no one would be dumb enough to shoot people. It's exactly the ethos our founding fathers had when they wrote the Constitution and then changed it, which is what makes it sacred now. Come mingle with safety-minded people like you at the Liberty City Gun Club. Our nation is still the world leader in one thing: armaments. Nothing says excitement like a night out with a small caliber semi-automatic weapon. Get social at the Liberty City Gun Club.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene. I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom. I'm a graphic designer,
College freshman. Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
and I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, we promise to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008, in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us. A $25 donation will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
So please, help us reach our goal of $1.6 trillion so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN,
advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
Welcome back to the Big Plantation, and what a show we have for you. And once again, I got to thank, FPRN. They have an awesome commercial because Obama. That cracks me up every time. I could listen to it a million times, and it'll never get old. But we do have Anthony Antonello on the line. Anthony, are you there?
I'm here. Could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Actually, there's an echo in my ear right now, and it's not gonna work. Damn. I might have to call you. I'm gonna have to call back on the other line.
All righty. Well, give us a call back.
I'll call you right now.
Is it working now?
No, he said he'll call back right now. All right,
Okay.
So what are we going to hash out in the meantime while we wait for Anthony to call back?
Well, while we're waiting for Anthony to call back, I have a phone caller on the line, and her name is Shirley, and I believe she's on line 1. Is Shirley still there?
I'm still here, Keith.
How you doing, Shirley?
Good. How are you doing, Keith?
I'm doing pretty good,
Hey,
and thank you for listening to the Big Plantation. What are your thoughts on Chief Kessler, or former Chief Kessler, shall I say?
Well, for the last 2 days, I was having a Facebook conversation with somebody about the kind of language that we use and how it tears people apart. First of all, libtard really, I don't think is appropriate by any of us, let alone a public official. That's where his big mistake was. When you start calling people names, it kind of makes you look a little bit more like a moron. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it makes you look ignorant.
Am I right? I mean, am I a libtard because I'm an anarchist who doesn't believe in war, but I believe in peace and being able to smoke pot in my own front yard? And what makes somebody a libtard? I'm not conservative, I'm not liberal, but I'm not a libertarian. I'm not under any classification.
Well, then you sound like you're in the perfect group. But I understand, Shirley, and I notice this a lot in the liberty movement, quote unquote, that they tend to push people away through ignorance. I wouldn't even say that Chief Kessler's in the liberty movement, but I do realize a lot of people talk down. And a guy named Chris Cantwell just did an article where I believe the article's called "I'm a better activist than you." And by talking down to people, you're basically, this is what he was talking about, is how we push people away because we make them feel inferior to us and like we know more and we are the solution. And we don't even bother to hear out other ideas or other points of views. And we result to something like calling somebody retarded or a libtard. And, how are you going to win their hearts and minds?
No, it's an immediate turnoff to me. Whenever somebody starts using that language, it's an immediate turnoff to me. My question is, has anybody ever found out if this was done on public land with real bullets? I don't know if anybody's ever found out that, because my son is a geologist. He didn't become a geologist because we didn't hike up in Schuylkill County all the time. I still do that. I mean, when he's firing these rapid bullets, were they on his own private property? That I would be curious about, too, because I think that would make a difference.
Well, I know he's being
saying?
charged with misuse of public property, so, I mean, that very well could be the reason behind it. I'm not sure why he's being charged. Well, it could have been because because they were his guns, though. See, I heard he was being charged with that, too, but was it just because they were the guns of the police department? Okay.
If that was his backyard. But in any job, whether you serve the public or whether I serve Telhigh Nursing Home, if I put on a Facebook and do that, I'm not going to have a job tomorrow. I don't care if you're a school teacher, if you work at jobs, or if you work at Telhigh Nursing Home. You're not going to have a job tomorrow. Now, he's a police officer who I want to be able to protect me. I found out through the years that I will never call the police because they are incompetent and they won't protect you. But I don't want this guy pulling me over at 11 o'clock at night. And I don't think I'm easily frightened. I was robbed at knife point at Mac's place in Elverson. I did 2 inches from a butcher knife coming to my neck, but the guy fell going over the countertop. And I went to work the next day. I don't think of myself as a coward.
Yeah,
But
and
he's
I don't think of you as one either. And, you know, especially if you don't call, only cowards call coward cops. I mean, that's where I always, you know, that's where I come from. You know, cops are like really, you're shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, somebody's going to get hurt. They're going to be kidnapped or they could die. And that's the type of risk you take when you dial 911. And it's sad because it didn't used to be that way. I mean, police were peacekeepers, but now they're enforcers. And that's where this whole mentality comes where I'm better than you. Because that's what their job is. Their job is I'm better than you. But my producer tells me I have Anthony on the line. And I believe Anthony will be able to answer some of your questions, hopefully, because he's reported on, he's interviewed.
Anthony. I wanted to hear Anthony speak, so let's get back to Anthony because he knows a lot more
and stay on the
about this
line
than I
because
do.
if you have any questions, you can ask him directly. Go ahead and bring Anthony in.
All right, and thanks for having me back, guys. Now, I wanted to clear up a couple things. As far as the statement that was made earlier about cavity searches, I'm pretty sure if that did happen, now, I mean, technically, I'm a journalist, I can't write it off, but for how the media is doing everything in their power to go after this guy, I'm pretty sure I would have heard about that they would have certainly used something like that. As far as where this all came from and who pushed this, it was the mainstream media because a lot of us knew about this well in advance, and when they decided to go, it was almost like a coordinated effort from the national to the all of a sudden local, and once it got picked up here in northeastern Pennsylvania, a lot of these guys have a lot of swaying power on the talk radio stations, the television stations, and they are completely one-sided, as we all know. So they started to push. Now, also to clarify a couple things, he has not been terminated yet. They can't terminate him yet. That is the reason they postponed it yet again, because they realize once they do terminate him, the chances are that he is going to sue them, and it probably will end up bankrupting the city. So that's the position they're in. And, you know, I do find it extremely ironic that I'm more or less on this. I'm not really taking sides, but, you know, the last thing you would ever expect from me, if you follow me, what I do in my work, is defending, quote-unquote, enforcer of quote-unquote laws, but I understand where he's coming from. I understand, and let me ask this, because I heard a couple statements earlier. Okay, what exactly do you mean when I think it was Jamie that said it? He wasn't politically correct. What does that mean?
I feel like what I'm trying to portray is just that he's not doing it in a way that's going to be generally accepted by people. It's really off-putting to people that are very, very asleep, that they won't receive the message well in the sense that he did it. Like, the name calling, the call and carry out, daring him to come down and take his guns, that kind of thing.
All right. Now, you are fully aware of the fight, liberty versus tyranny that is underway right now, right?
Well, of course. I mean, we're in a war.
Okay. Do you realize how serious this is? Do you realize that if you have no vote, okay? The votes on the national scale, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you do. These people are so powerful, they go to war literally topple governments for breakfast, okay? This is what these globalists do that are in charge, all right? So now he isn't as far along down, if you want to call it the journey of understanding individual liberty as a lot of us, okay? He talks a lot about the Constitution and the First and Second Amendment, and I say this quite often, that if we can't get people to even respect the Constitution, how on earth are we going to get them to understand, a true voluntary society? So what I'm saying is these people have complete control over everything you do. He was in position for 14 years in that city, and he has never once there was that altercation you talked about, but there was no police brutality. He didn't tase a 14-year-old girl in the face. I mean, we all know that any one of us can do an hour of show every night talking about police brutality and what the police do. Right, so he has not done that. What he was extremely outspoken about the fact that, you know what, the UN, these people are looking to globalize, and in order to do that, they need to bring the American people to their knees. So he was extremely passionate about that. Adam Kokesh made a video. Look, where's he at? He's in a cage right now. Okay, so this is what they do. So what is that's what I said
Anthony,
about politically correct. Go ahead.
Anthony, all right. Did you catch the whole SKS clip?
Yeah, I did.
So, all right. Now, what do you think of that? Now, what would you think if just an ordinary, like, he had no history whatsoever, no other YouTube videos, just somebody there was a cop, put up a video like that? Would you fear that person being a cop?
Well, here's the thing. I fear all. All right, let me rephrase the way I don't trust cops from the gate in any way, shape, or form. But seeing something like that, no, I might be in the rarity, and maybe in this conversation I am. I don't let that affect me. A lot of people make all kinds of YouTube videos, and I certainly am not going to sign on to pre-crime, because he didn't break a law. He didn't do anything wrong. So if we're advocating freedom, just because some people got their feelings hurt, we're going to say, this man, think of the chilling effect this is going to have. That's why I brought up the politically correct statement and, being worried, where everybody's so worried about stepping on other people's toes, and Adam did what he did because he didn't want to be the person that backed down from the event, and that's another conversation in itself.
Okay, now Anthony, let's say he goes to court, right? He gets called to a court case from a criminal, a violent criminal, goes to court, and he is the arresting officer, and the defense brings up the YouTube videos and says this guy's testimony to the jury. All right, it's a murder case. For crying out loud.
Wait.
And he said, and the defense is like, look at this cop. How can this cop be not the one that committed the crime against and that violent criminal that should be held in the justice system because they murdered or raped somebody could very well you know where I am on politics. On the justice system altogether.
Right.
But I'm just saying. From that point of view, and if I was to act that way and put out, if my customers were to see YouTube videos like that of me, it's already bad enough they see YouTube videos of me calling, for the end of the federal government, which I don't think is that bad. I'm calling for a nonviolent end.
So is this the world? Is this the world we want to live in, though? Is this the world? Some people have made it.
Now here's another question: should they be allowed to fire whoever they want?
Wait, did you say should people be allowed to fire whoever they want?
Yeah.
And in a true free market, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, so they just don't like the guy. Why not just fire him?
Well, if it was a true free market, then they would be able to do it. And that, now we're just talking statism versus government. And that's, you see, we're kind of mixing hypotheticals with what's really happening, and that's what happens when we talk ideology and philosophy.
It kind of still is. I mean, like if I don't like somebody that's working for me, I fire them. I don't care. I just fire them. And even if I like them and they're not effective, if they're not doing a good job to the point where it's not worth keeping them around, I'm going to fire them. And if there's, if I can't hold insurance on an employee because he backed into 3 customers' cars with my work truck, I'm going to fire him. And right now, the insurance companies, and you can actually look at it this way. Maybe there is a conspiracy from the big, I know there's a conspiracy, and the insurance companies are involved. And what are the insurance companies? Well, all insurance companies are owned by banks, and the banks are, trying to take all the guns.
That's the biggest scam. That's the biggest scam there is in the country. I mean, all you're doing is giving money to somebody, and you get nothing in exchange. And even if you do have an accident, you're lucky if you could get some of the money out of them. And that's fascism in itself. They make laws that say you can, you have permission to drive on the roads as long as you pay for insurance to private corporations, and you could go 60 years without ever having an accident. And will you ever see a penny of that money back? No, that sounds like extortion and coercion to me. So you don't have to sell me on the fact that insurance is statism at its worst. But so I agree with you. This is the system that's in place, but. I mean, I'm looking at it from the fact that I don't know. I agree that he should be allowed to say what. Yeah, it's a tough one, bro.
I mean, like he should be. Well, what I'm saying, the point I'm getting to is you have the freedom of speech. It's how far do you want to take your freedom of speech until there's consequences. It's like you have the right to defend yourself if you're attacked, to even kill the person to defend yourself, all right? But do you want to live with the consequence that for the rest of your life you took another person's life?
Well, I certainly would deal with that than giving the power to authority, other people, over me, and that's what statism is granting.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, say somebody comes up to you and they're trying to beat you up, all right, and you pull out a gun, and you have the option then, after they attacked you, to shoot them and kill them, or shoot them in the kneecap. Which one would you take?
Me personally, depending on the situation, if I don't have to kill somebody, I'm not going to. If I could get out of there with harming them, then I would do that. I mean, I'm not
exactly, and most people would, and that's the same idea applies to the First Amendment or freedom of speech, which is a natural right. All right, your freedom of speech has consequences, and one of those consequences is you can lose your job if you are in a position where it affects your business or your employer's business.
And even if we go with that, that's completely arbitrary, because who makes the decision? See, even if we're going to just go with the Constitution and say the Bill of Rights and freedom of speech, okay, then freedom of speech is supposed to defend what other people find offensive. Like, I heard a lot of most of the show up to this point, and a lot of people said he took it too far. He went too far. Well, so does the West Baptist Church, whatever they're called, that goes to the returning veterans' funerals and say all kinds of obscene things. Now, there's no way I would ever agree with anything they say, but at the same time, it's like the old saying, I might not agree with what you're saying, but I would fight to the death your right to say it. So that's what freedom is tolerance. You can't get offended over stuff, and you have to be tolerant of what people say. So that's why I never understood this whole, I'm offended, or political correctness, and that's when freedom really, like, people are so afraid and you guys notice, people are afraid to talk politics because they know. I see signs in stores, no politics, no talking about politics here, or you go to family events, let's not talk about politics because everybody's scared to death of it. And what has it led to? This is the society we live in now, and I don't think people are abrasive enough. I wish more people were outspoken and said, you know what, you're fucking killing people on a regular basis. You're bombing countries, you're globalizing the entire planet. We need to stop pussyfooting around with these people. And you see, every time, I'm not calling him a leader, but any time somebody gets to a position where they start getting attention, and that attention has anything to do with, at very least, the Constitution, let alone the philosophy of liberty, they take that person out at the knees, and they shut them up. And this is why we don't see movements, that I think they perfected it after Martin Luther King and Kennedy and all this, they were able to get millions of people to go to events. And what do we have now? Intimidation, people that are, we don't want to rock the boat. We got to pull more people in. How's that been working for us? I've been doing this 8 years, and the numbers are dwindling. More and more people know about it, but less people are willing to actually step out and put themselves in harm's way. So, how is that working for us being politically correct? Are we really
I agree with you, Anthony, and like I said, I was 100% on board with them on all the videos. I'm not into,
I'm not even saying I'm on board with all the videos. I'm just saying, I'm just saying I want people to be able to do what they want as long as they're not infringing on somebody else's natural rights.
Can I ask Anthony a question? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I could hear you. Yeah.
Anthony, the difference between him and Adam Kokesh is Adam Kokesh has no authority over me. I'm not afraid of Adam Kokesh. This man has authority over me. How would it be like if, let's say, John Kerry took his gun and said, you know what? How do you like that, you conservative assholes, and start firing guns? We would all be up in arms. Anybody who has power over us, we have to fear when they do that.
Two things I could respond to that. Okay, number one, he said he will take off his uniform and side with freedom before he sides with the tyrannical thugs, and it looks like that's going to be the case. That's number one. Number two, after what happened in Katrina, wouldn't you rather somebody, and this is why I said I rarely side with authority, but wouldn't you rather somebody who said they will take out their uniform and side with you against the people that are going to come for the guns, or the people that are going to have a tyrannical government and lead to oppression? Wouldn't you rather somebody who had the courage to say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to fight and I'm going to die, but I'm going to do it as a free man? Wouldn't you rather that, even though, yes, he has authority, but how much authority does he have compared to the globalists that are running everything right now?
Yeah, not much.
None, of course.
Are you just afraid of regular cops?
Democrats, Republicans, nobody runs anything. It's the globalists that run everything.
Are you just afraid of any cop? I mean, you could get pulled over and get tased in the face for looking at a cop the wrong way. These guys are out of control, ridiculous. This guy's been on 14 years and he hasn't done anything wrong. You're more afraid of him than one of these young yahoos that just got militarized and given an armored personnel carrier. I mean, are you kidding me?
I'm afraid of all police. My son was pulled directly out of his car. He was pulled over in Houston, Texas, asked if he was coming back from a job, asked if they could search his car. He said no. They put a gun to him, pulled him out of his car, and gave him a ticket. He had to stand across side of the road, and this is what the police can do. So when you have a police officer on YouTube acting like that, then you go to think.
How many videos have you seen of police brutality?
Oh, hundreds and hundreds, because I have so many friends who post them.
Okay, right. And how many videos have you seen of police officers saying they'll take off their uniforms and fight to the death against tyranny?
But he didn't do that.
Yes, he did.
Hasn't taken off his police uniform. Why doesn't he take it off and say, I quit. I'm going to go on the side of the people?
Well, well, I can't speak on his behalf, but it looks like he's playing this out the way it needs to be played out. But, my question is, How many people have you seen? He said that. He said, I will take off my uniform and side with tyranny, or side with freedom before I side with tyranny. How many other cops did you see even come close to saying, I will break ranks if I see the government doing something that is unconstitutional? And I'm leaving it at the Constitution because, like I said, it's harder to get people to even understand that. How many people have you seen say, I will break ranks if and not follow unconstitutional orders? Can you name even one person?
No, but if he would have done that, everybody would be on his side.
Well, and
all right, we got to go to a break, guys. Do you guys want to stay on the second part of the hour?
All right. Yeah, no problem.
All right. You're listening to FPRN, The Big Plantation. We'll be right back after this message.
Democrats, Republicans, your information's jumbling. The USA is crumbling. Y'all sit back and dumb as shit.
Mr. President, members of Congress, you've been making a lot of noise about taking our guns away. But you might want to review history. 1835, Gonzales, Texas Territory. The authorities wanted to confiscate the big gun that protected that colony. You know what the people said? Come and take it. Because they were willing to fight for their freedom and their guns. So are we.
Come and take it if you want it. Come and take it if you think you can. Come and take it, but I warn you, you'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands. We want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it.
One shot at a time. Just like Gonzales, we're keeping our guns.
At Damari Nolo Outfitters, we view the outdoors as our home, not a harsh wilderness. Our gear is chosen for adventure, not just in our backyard, but in the vast expanse of our amazing planet. Damari Nolo Outfitters carries the essential gear and tools you will need to live the empowering mindset of self-reliance. Our products are chosen especially for their durability and quality, and are carefully tested by our staff and associates. Our promise to you is we never offer any item for sale we don't use ourselves, so we can offer only what we know to be the best. Our online store makes it simple to browse through our high-quality lines of clothing, knives, tools, load carry gear, and accessories. We are committed to offering you the best American-made equipment on the market, a promise you'll see as we continually add new products. For more information about our products and blog posts to help you learn more about self-reliance and equipment, please visit www.damarinolo.com. That's DOMARI-NOLO.com. Damari Nolo, chosen for survival and adventure.
In every age, a technology is created that upends the foundations of society. The wheel, the printing press, the internet. Now, in a world sliding into financial chaos, a new technology is changing the way monetary systems work around the world. It is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a new form of money, controlled not by banks, governments, or corporations, but through mutual commerce between free individuals. To learn more, visit WeUseCoins.com.
Talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I wanted. Then the government told me about Obamacare. Now with Obamacare, I don't worry about my health care. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I get all my prescription drugs for free, and there's no more coverage gap. I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like Congressman. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration. Obama is not responsible for the negative effects on the economy, your pocketbook, your freedoms, or your health.
Obama solved all my problems.
Obamacare. Live your carefree lifestyle.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy.
Oh God, please help me. He's got a knife.
You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Stay on the line for the next available emergency operator. You have reached the 911 emergency service. All operators are busy. Please stay on.
911 operator, what's your emergency, please? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Last year in the United States, thousands and thousands of 911 calls went unanswered. And if you call from a cell phone, there's no way to pinpoint where you are. Yet politicians like Dianne Feinstein call for more gun control. We have one question. Why do these politicians have armed bodyguards? Can't they just call 911?
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems.
I will MK Ultra ya. Put the MK scope on ya. If the MK hits ya, it's guaranteed to open ya. The 57mm Mark 110, 220 rounds.
We are back live on FPRNradio.com. This is the Big Plantation. I'm your host, Keith Smith, and we just had a very great debate between Shirley, and one of our callers, and Anthony Antonello from Silence is Compliance. You can check them out. Silence Compliance is on FPRN Radio Network. So are you two still there?
Absolutely,
Yes, I'm here.
absolutely. Thanks for holding us over. And, you know, I'd like to I was thinking about this during the break, and I'd like to put this into perspective the best I can, all right? Now, I think we're all in agreement that we've all said that we know the power the police and authority has over us, and there's not much we can do about it. We all see the police brutality that happens on a regular basis, okay? Now, what happened when, after the Sandy Hook shooting, okay, Chief Kessler decided to enact what was called the Liberty Preservation Act, where he and all the council members voted unanimously to say that if there's some kind of federal law that says that infringes even more on what is supposed to be a natural right of your right to bear arms, that they would not enforce it. Now, I do believe that we would all be in agreement that we're all trying to move towards a freer place. So he said he would not enforce it anywhere in his borough, okay? Now, what within a couple months, he was, that's when the videos came out, and the media took that opportunity, obviously, to pounce on him and basically get people to the point where they, you know, don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Like a lot of these guys said, you know, he's going to have a hard time doing anything at this point, okay? So what would have happened if people stood behind him and said, you know what, I would rather, and I say this, I would rather dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery? What if people said, you know what, all right, yeah, he might have been, you know, not politically correct, or he might have went a little bit too far, but he said we're going to be just a little bit more free than the rest of the country. And wouldn't it be nice if we could get a snowball effect of people saying, you know what, I would like to be free. I wouldn't have to go through all these background checks and beg for permission from the, you know, the quote, the state, and pay them money in order to exercise what are supposed to be natural rights. But instead, we, you know, so many people comply because it's the system, and they have too much to lose, and they don't want to go to jail.
I just, I get where you're coming from, and I'm 100% on board. I mean, that interview that you had with him, I was like, this is an amazing cop. And I never say that because to me, most cops are cowards, almost all of them, 99.9% of them. So that's where I come from. And then, he should have just ran with that. Maybe that gave him his, his fame, right? His initial fame was very honorable. He's like, I'm going to take off my clothes. I'm going to put down my badge. I remember James Babb said, join the right side of humanity. Take off your badges and join humanity. Yeah. And it's very true because right now they're on the wrong side of history, And if he wants to do the right thing, take off your badge and quit. All right? You don't have to be putting out YouTube videos of you, faking killing somebody. I mean, it really, that disturbs many people because murder is violence, and we're trying to go everything without murdering everybody.
If you're going to put it, if you're going to put it in that kind of context, but if you're going to put it in that kind of context, where do you draw the line? Television, movies, you see fake murders and constantly. So who's going to be that arbitrary judge that? But
Anthony, I don't have television, so that doesn't affect me. I'm talking about what will affect me. If I ever drove through that town, I wouldn't drive through that town because I would not ever want to be put in a position where there was a police officer that had that kind of mentality. I mean, like Darren was talking about Cheif, all right? And he's very correct about that, where there's a certain pleasure in killing people in war. And this is part of post-traumatic stress that a lot of veterans have to deal with. That they come back from war after, being in the kill zone where everything in front of you dies, and then all of a sudden there's things popping out in front of you in the local park, and you're not supposed to shoot it. And it's hard to adjust. Right. Now, that last video is what it switched it for me. I was on the fence about the whole thing the whole time. I was actually supportive of him until I saw that video, and that's where I was like, you know what, this is just too much. And this kind of scares me because it's not even as much as it is him. It's the fact that how many cops out there have authority over people.
Well, a lot of. Wait, did you ask me how many? Yeah, you're right. That goes without question. And the thing is with me, it's not even so much about siding with him or siding against him. It's that I'm at the point now where I'm so tired and disgusted of statism and the lack of people standing up against it that, I guess I'm more on the side just for the fact that it's somebody who said, you know what, I want to fight tyranny. And anybody at this point, especially if it's somebody in, I guess you would say in uniform, because imagine if the military and the police stood down. Imagine if they said, you know what, like you just said, took off their badges. All right, now this isn't what he did. But I'm saying this is where my perspective was coming from, is that the tyranny is so bad and the oppression is so bad that when I seen somebody who said he was willing to do that, I was like, wow, this is a rare thing. You don't see that. Cops, for the most part, they love tasing people. They sit around and watch videos of it, and not all of them. Okay, I know there are and not to use talking points. I know there's good cops or good people that wear costumes and badges. See, I don't even know how to talk, referring them anymore. But I really don't. But I just am so tired of statism. I'm so tired of oppression that people have to be scared to death walk out of their house, and you don't have to go to Gilberton, Pennsylvania, to be scared of a cop. It happens everywhere. It happens constantly. And like I said, this guy's been in position for 14 years. Why would people be more scared of a cop who said that he wants freedom? Maybe he's not all the way, or obviously he's not all the way down the journey of freedom, but he's at very least trying to get people turned on to the message of freedom. And yeah, okay, I see where it's coming from. If that's what he's trying to do, then I don't know, man. It goes both ways. A lot of people like the fact that he came out as hard as he did, because how many people have come out soft and nothing comes of it? I don't know. It's a tough conversation. Like I said, I know I would hope we're all against statism here, but the thing
we are. I mean, there's a lot of questions that have to be asked. I mean, like he used those guns. Were those his guns?
With the automatics, there's a whole list of. I don't want to misspeak here, but I know a lot of the fully automatics. What he did was he bought them and then donated them back to Gilberton Borough.
Okay, so he used force, which is taxes, right? State is force to steal people's money to buy firearm toys to make YouTube videos.
Well, I don't know if he used taxpayers' money or if he bought them on his own. I don't know that.
You don't know? All right, well, that's actually something I'd really love to find out. So if you ever get a chance to interview him again.
There's so many interesting things that we really don't know enough about, I think, on his record. I mean, maybe there has never been a complaint about him in 12 years. I would find that hard to believe, seeing the video. But if that's the truth, that's the truth. The problem is, Anthony, you're going by what he says and not his actions. His actions should have been, I'm not going to be a police officer anymore. I am against this. He didn't do that. He chose to be a police officer, and he chose as a police officer to put that on a video. He should have done it the other way around.
Well, what he said was, if it came down to it, he would take, and it looks like it's coming down to it. Okay, he didn't just say, I'm going to quit my job today and fight tyranny. And this is what people have to understand. There's a very real possibility of. Okay, imagine if another Sandy Hook happens, only it's like 10 times worse, all right? And that's a whole other conversation I don't want to get into, and we don't have time for. But imagine if something, terribly drastic happens where, like a 9/11 type deal where the whole country is whipped up into a frenzy and they say, okay, we had enough, and they're able to get enough people to actually say, you know what, we're banning guns, or at least on some level, and the only way to do it is to go house to house. Now it just got real, okay? Now, would you want, you're either going to become a slave or you're going to fight as a free man. Now, would you want somebody like that as your neighbor, or would you want somebody who is more passive-aggressive than that?
I own 3 guns, so I'll have my... I'll fight my own battle.
Okay, you will. But
I really would have. I'm serious, Anthony. I would not want him as my neighbor because I think he's a loose cannon, unless it was a joke. See, I wish I could speak to him. I wish he would call in.
You say loose cannon. What does that mean? Does that mean that you want somebody to have the decision to say, okay, you didn't break any? Even this is even hard saying because there are so many laws on the books, and he still didn't break any laws. So because of the way he acted, somebody should go in there and say, you know what, you need a psychological evaluation. Is that the world you want to live in? That because he acted in a way that you considered bizarre, that the state is going to assign somebody to go and mentally evaluate you. Think about the possibilities the terrible possibilities that would open up the can of worms. And this is actually where they're heading right now. They're constantly talking about the mentally insane people that are going on all these shooting sprees. So, I mean, they're already going in that direction. So is this what you want to see, to go on somebody's behavior and say, all right, they don't get the same rights as you. So basically, the only people who will get rights are the people that fall in line with the system. This is what I'm hearing tonight.
Anthony, this country is so incompetent that even the man who just shot at the Navy Yard told the police officers that he's hearing voices and all this, and they did nothing. You think that they're going to break? I mean, I put on the internet about blowing up the Social Security building while nobody was in it. I mean, they're not going to do anything about it. They're incompetent. They don't even know where I live or who I am.
They're not going to do anything about what?
When people say things, what happened to this man who went to the police and said, "I'm hearing voices. People are following me." He went and shot up the Navy Yard. Innocent people died. The police didn't care. They didn't follow him around.
Oh, okay.
They're too incompetent. They're not competent enough.
So you're saying you want more? So you're saying you want more police to do more investigating on people's psychological.
No, I don't want any police, to be honest with you. I don't trust any of them. I haven't.
Well,
Keith said 99 point. Keith said 99.8%. I haven't met one that I've yet thought was a competent police officer. I'm talking now more about the government. That why didn't the government see what was going on with this guy with the Navy Yard? Why? Because they're not competent, and they're not going to come in and take our guns because I'm going to hide my guns, you're going to hide your guns.
Shirley, I'll tell you something. He had high security clearance, and there is a lot of competence involved in that, especially if you're a contractor working with the military. I know contractors that work with the military. And if I call them on my phone or if I send them a text message and it's worded the wrong way, they know about it. So there is no way they did not know this guy was not going to go there and shoot up the place. And matter of fact, that's why I don't know if you knew, they called back the SWAT team. The SWAT team was there ready to take him out as soon as it started. They called the SWAT back and let the little local yokel DC police go in there with little sidearms?
If we said the wrong things right now on this station right now, that somebody would be getting detained and kidnapped by morning. Okay, you've seen it with Adam Kokesh posted a video. All right, so this opens up a lot of questions, and we're not. We certainly don't have the time to veer into the Navy Yard shooting, but. They will take people out, right at the ankles and stop them dead in their tracks if they're spewing a message that they don't like. If somebody's talking about freedom, especially if they have a voice and they're getting out to people, and trust me, I know this from personal experience. These people they'll come after you and they'll threaten you and they'll keep upping the stakes. So, but. To get back to your original point, so what are you asking for then? How do you think this should have been handled?
I think the community should be allowed to decide whether that they think that this man should be able to patrol their territory or not.
Well, here's the thing, and number one, they were all behind him 100%. I remember being there when he passed that Liberty Preservation Act or resolution, and they did the Pledge of Allegiance, and it was USA all the way the whole night. And as soon as the media got hold of this, then this is how powerful the media is.
There?
The media was able to get so many people to back off of this. I mean, this guy, he was there seeking out and standing out against the federal government and more infringement upon the Second Amendment. So,
are you there, Anthony?
You've seen how quick they backpedal. This is a problem. People are too quick to backpedal and too afraid of speaking up. And they're so worried about offending other people. Listen, people need to be offended. Okay, I didn't get to read the thing about Chris Canwell. I'm a better activist than you. But listen, people if they're not angry at this point and they're not concerned, then they do need to be kicked upside the head, because this is life and death situation. This is the future of the country. This is the future of the planet. Everything is at stake right now. And if people think it's more important to watch television or to do all these other nonsensical things and to avoid talking politics, people need to talk. They need to really have deep conversations and figure out what we're going to do, and avoiding it is not the way to do it. And by saying, politically correct, or we can't push people away. No, we need to smack them in the heads is what we need to do, and that's my opinion. But, I mean, how many years has it been? How many years have people been, well, honestly, it's an ongoing struggle of humanity, but, yeah, so, I mean, this is where we're at. It looks like we're really reaching close to end game here, where these people have all the laws they need in place with the NDAA. Any one of us could be called a terrorist and swept up at any moment. They have already declared war on us. So when I see somebody speaking up saying, I'm going to stand up against them, I'm sorry, but I like that. I want people to say, I'm going to stand up against anybody who is going to try to kidnap me and call me a terrorist.
Well, yeah, and I want to try to diffuse any kind of notation or notion that I put forward before.
So if they're not happy with the supervisor's decisions, none of those people will be voted back in, and he will win. Because I know our supervisors get voted in, so they're supervisors. So if the people want to back Mark Kessler, I guess, what was it, a 6-1 vote? Those 6 who voted to fire him will not get reelected. So we'll see if the people really did back the supervisors or if they backed Mark Kessler.
And I do agree with you, but at the same time, and I'm sorry to say it, but people they really are for the most part, extremely misinformed, and they just don't get a lot of the stuff that, I mean, I'm up to this into my eyeballs. I do this for a living, and so does this radio show. So and most of the people I deal with, and it gets very frustrating after a while when you understand what's at stake and you see that people are so unwilling to say, hey, we really need to step up and do something here because everything is at stake. And yeah, it's frustrating. So when people speak out and get emotional and get frustrated, I get that. I see that. And I think more people, like I said earlier, if you're not angry, you are not paying attention. I mean, what's it going to take? Is it going to take the 378,000 UN troops that are training literally right as we speak to start going door to door confiscating guns? And I'm sorry, but hiding your gun isn't gonna help it. When they come for the guns, it's time to use it.
Well, right? Anthony, when they come for the guns, I wouldn't mind having this guy by my side. All right, I really would. But right now, what he's doing is he's a police officer, and the way I look at police officers is they take peaceful people that are minding their own business and they lock them up in jail. And I can bet you anything, really, that he has had to have thrown a peaceful person in jail, in a cage, away from their family, and caused hardship on them. All right?
I listen, I can't argue with that because my stance on police officers.
So I mean, what it all comes down to is, this is this is a
Anthony,
job.
Because you have that.
Well, I'm sorry. What was that, Shirley?
That's what I love about Anthony. He feels just like Keith and I, and yet he's still defending him. So he must know more about this story than I do.
Well, it's not that I'm defending him. It's that I understand how serious tyranny is, and I would rather have somebody that you guys are worried about and dangerous say I would fight tyranny than to have all these mice men, to have all these people that are too scared. Like I said, Adam, just on principle, went to jail because he said, I'm not going to live under this tyrannical government. I'm going to make a statement. And, that's a whole topic in itself. But I'm just tired of the tyranny and people accepting it. They're accepting
Anthony,
it.
That's, I agree with you. I mean, and that's why I wanted this debate tonight, was because really what it comes down to is we don't know as much as you do, really. I mean, a lot of people don't know anything about this. All they get is from the mainstream repeaters and the articles that are written and what's written on Facebook.
Yeah. That's why I decided to become, an information disseminator to the best ability I can, because I know that the mainstream media, listen, you control the information, you control the minds of Americans. If Americans really knew what was going on, I do not believe the country would be in the shape it's in right now. It's in this shape because of the media, and that's why I go after journalists, and I do everything I can to expose them and hold them accountable. So yeah, there's a crux of this. I mean, if you think you're free, if you have the illusion of freedom, then you don't need to even come for the guns. People will, turn them in for a turkey. It's happened here, right in Luzerne County. People turn in their weapons for turkeys because they, we're getting dangerous guns off the streets. Yeah, genius idea.
Well, I love to see rusted old guns get turned in for turkeys, though. Ones that don't shoot.
Well, all you have to do is stop paying taxes. I haven't filed my income tax since they bailed out the banks and the corporations. The IRS keeps sending me. I'm probably in really big trouble, but I'm in trouble anyway. They keep sending me these certified letters. I owe them I don't know how much, like $20,000 or something. I have no money. I'm a widow. I throw them out. They're going to come
All right,
to get me.
Well, we got to go to a break,
the
guys. And thank you very much for calling, Shirley and Anthony. Can you hold on through the break?
Yeah, no problem, brother.
All right, we'll be back right after this message.
All you know is that there's something more.
Tired of living in a violent society? If every citizen was armed, no one would be dumb enough to shoot people. It's exactly the ethos our founding fathers had when they wrote the Constitution and then changed it, which is what makes it sacred now. Come mingle with safety-minded people like you at the Liberty City Gun Club. Our nation is still the world leader in one thing: armaments. Nothing says excitement like a night out with a small caliber semi-automatic weapon. Get social at the Liberty City Gun Club.
Well, yeah, it's getting tough out there. Yeah, no doubt. I work in home invasions, mostly. Some murder, occasional rape, if she's hot, or really bitchy. And I'm a huge advocate of gun control, absolutely. Every time I kick in a door or smash a window, I face the possibility of being shot and killed. Allowing citizens to own guns creates a hostile work environment for me and my associates. No one should have to work under those conditions. I say make them all illegal, absolutely. I mean, I break the law for a living. I'm a professional, so it doesn't really bother me. No doubt.
Your local violent criminals work hard and put their lives on the line every time they attempt to murder, rape, abduct, or assault a member of the citizenry. They desperately need your help. With your support, there may finally come a day when a violent criminal can have his way with you or someone you love without the fear, anxiety, and stress caused by knowing there's a possibility his victim might be armed. Please show your support by voting for stronger anti-gun legislation, because criminals prefer unarmed citizens.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene.
I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom. I'm a graphic designer,
College freshman,
stay-at-home mom with a full-time job,
scholar on social policy, and a barista. And I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, we promise to support him no matter what. Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008 in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us. A $25 donation will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
So please, help us reach our goal of $1.6 trillion so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Big Plantation live on FPRNradio.com. You can find us archived at FPRNradio.com along with other great shows like Cop Block Radio and Silence is Compliance with Anthony Antonello. And we have Anthony on the line, but first I want to play a clip here. And Jamie, can you talk about the clip a little bit?
The clip we're coming into? The Fed clip, right?
Yeah. Tell me about it, because I didn't get a chance to listen to it.
Well, it's a Mark Faber interview. It's it's him pretty much talking about where this QE Unlimited has led us, what is going to be breaking down in the next couple of months, and with Bernanke's reign being over, I'm sorry, I forget the woman's name who is the next one in. I'm sorry, something Yeller. This is the next one in line that. It doesn't look too promising, but anyway, yeah, it's getting into that. He's talking about the current status of the economic situation and just where we go from here.
Is she a Labrador?
Golden maybe.
Retriever?
Yeah, like Old Yeller. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You'll hear it about the 4-minute mark where they come and talking about her, but she's pretty much just. It looks like she's going to be a patsy to make Bernanke look great as the economy falls to the ground.
Oh, it sounds so wonderful. I love this stuff. Now, go ahead and run that clip.
On the most crucial Fed day of the year, and with the taper now off the table, he's joining us with some choice words for Chairman Bernanke. Mark, always a pleasure to talk to you. What's your reaction to this news that there's going to be no taper?
For now.
Well, thank you for having me on your program. My view was that they would taper by about $10 to $15 billion. But I'm not surprised that they don't do it for a simple reason that I think we are in QE Unlimited. The people at the Fed are professors, academics. They never worked a single life in the business of ordinary people. And they don't understand that if you print money, it benefits basically a handful of people, maybe not even 5% of the population, 3% of the population. And when you look today at the market action, okay, stocks are up 1%. Silver is up more than 6%, gold up more than 4%, copper 2.9%, crude oil 2.68%, and so forth. Crude oil, gasoline are things people need, ordinary people buy every day. Thank you very much. The Fed boosts these items that people need to go to their work, to heat their homes, and so forth. And at the same time, asset prices go up. But the majority of people do not own stocks.
Now hang
Only
on.
11% of Americans own directly shares.
Hang on, Mark, because people need also mortgages, right? When they're starting families, a lot more people need to get out of their parents' house and buy their own. People need cars. The cars on the road are 11.4 years old. Those interest rates are being held down when the Fed continues this type of policy, no?
Well, on September 14th, 2012, when the Fed announced QE3, that was then extended into QE4, and now basically QE Unlimited, the bond market had peaked out. In other words, interest rates had bottomed out on July 25th, 2012, a year ago, at 1.43% on the 10-year Treasury note. Mr. Bernanke said at that time at the press conference.
Now, just to clarify this for our listeners, they are not purchasing $85 billion. They are purchasing $125 billion in bonds. That's a lot of money. That's over $1 trillion in this past year alone. So go ahead, keep rolling that clip.
The objective of the Fed is to lower interest rates. Since then, they have doubled. Thank you very much. Great success.
Is this the unintended consequence, you think, of all this money printing? And what's the end game?
The unintended consequence.
Well, the end game is a total collapse, but from a higher diving board. The Fed will continue to print, and if the stock market goes down 10%, they'll print even more. And they don't know anything else to do. And quite frankly, they've boxed themselves into a corner where they're now kind of desperate.
Well, there's going to be a new head of the Federal Reserve. Expectation is that it's going to be Dr. Yellen. Do you think we'll see any changes when she comes in?
Yes, we'll see a huge change. She will make Mr. Bernanke look like a hawk.
Like a hawk. Why? What do you think she's going to do,
All right,
Mark
we can cut this clip. So basically, this is what I was running into with the whole. I wanted to kind of segue into what's exactly going on right now with Congress being on hold for the budget and everything. They have until the 30th to pass a budget plan. And what I see a lot of this going on is Obama is going to be shifting away with whatever is going on with the Federal Reserve to kind of place this blame on Congress for what's going to be the unraveling economic collapse that we see unfolding in the next couple of months. Because, I mean, if you listen to his address on the 21st, it was pretty directly insulting towards Congress. I mean, they basically, he just shifted every bit of the weight of, well, I mean, the GOP doesn't want to pass Obamacare, so the government's going to start failing on September 30th, and there's really nothing we can do about it unless we tell these crazy Republicans to do something about it. And I don't know. I feel like that Mark Faber interview really related very well to the current economic situation that we're in. What do you feel about that, Keith?
Yeah. I think that I've been saying this for years. I go to the End the Fed events, and people are like, "Yeah, you think we can really end the Fed?" I'm like, actually, we are ending the Fed, but the Fed's ending itself, so we don't even have to do anything. Like they're purposely destroying the system.
Yeah, well, the
And
system's being brought down intentionally, and I feel like it's extremely obvious. That's why I said when she was like the unintentional consequences of money printing. Come on. Everybody knew this shit was going to happen. What are you just going to keep printing money forever and it's just going to solve all of our fucking problems? That's not how this works.
Yeah, no. And it's really what it's coming down to is we're going to see this play out in the next few months. I see it all across the board. So, Anthony, are you still there? Anthony Antonello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how you doing, Anthony?
Well,
Hey, I have somebody on the line here. His name is James Babb. He would like to talk about Officer for Mr. Gilberton, Officer Kessler. So, James Babb, are you there?
Excellent.
Yes, I am. How's it going?
How you doing, brother?
Great. Well, I don't really have a lot of specific comments about Officer Kessler. I've really had a hard time really figuring out what's going on in that situation. Everybody you hear from on the topic seems to have some kind of their own agenda, whether it's making constitutionalists look crazy or trying to make this guy look like he's some kind of a sane guy. But I figure, well, he's a cop, he's a policeman, so of course I don't trust him. So right there. So I'm not going to give him any slack based on that. I think the best any of us could do is just try to avoid all of these people. Avoid him and the people that are criticizing him. We certainly don't need any of these guys. Any kind of monopoly on force, which he represents, is not going to be in our interest. So that's really all I have to say on that.
Yeah, and let me ask you this, James, because I definitely put a lot of value into your opinions. Do you see at all where I'm coming from when? I mean, you've been around a long time. You've been fighting a tyrannical system for a very long time. Like when you see anybody speak up, that especially the way he spoke up, extremely passionately. How would you feel if more officers spoke? Okay, maybe not as much as he was as far as the language, but basically saying, I'm going to stand against tyranny. And yes, they represent the status system. Me and you understand that. Most people don't. Would you? How would you feel about that? Because, and I'll say one more thing. What I tell people is, if I can't get them to appreciate and understand the Constitution, there's no way I'm going to get them to the next level, which is, voluntarism or anarchism or however you want to look at it. There's no way I'm going to get them even past that because these people won't even acknowledge the Constitution. So I don't know. How do you feel about that, bro?
Well, the Constitution may be giving them cover for their tyranny, which is something I would want to avoid. I don't want to give them cover. I mean, let's talk more generally about this so-called oath keepers. And I'm told I'm supposed to respect them because they're not going to obey unconstitutional orders. Okay, well, bull. Okay, I'm sorry. Half of everything they're doing every day is unconstitutional.
Everything.
Okay, so I can't take them seriously. I can't take them for their word for it. How many of them quit? If they're serious about their oath, they're going to quit. They're going to start arresting their coworkers. They're going to, they're not just going to sit back and say, well, you know what? I'm only going to storm into houses of hippies that might have a certain plant. I'm only going to abuse their rights, not Joe Sixpack who just is carrying a gun. It doesn't make any sense.
The United States government has killed how many millions of people in unconstitutional wars? How many of them have gathered together and say, you know what, we need to start arresting senators, congressmen, and presidents? But we haven't seen that happen yet, have we? So yeah, I agree with you 100%. You're right.
So these people should be, treated very skeptically. And when they say, we don't want to, I don't want to get behind some and say, well, he says he's going to obey his oath to the Constitution, so we better listen to what he says. We better back him up.
No, I got you, brother. I got you.
Now, to go back onto the video clip there, we're talking about End the Fed. I got both of you guys here. And I got Jamie. Let's each one of us. What do you guys think? What is the route the End the Fed movement should go from here on out? Knowing that it's possibly most likely going to end itself, where should we focus our energy?
Why don't we cue James first?
Okay, James, you still there?
Well, yeah. You want me to talk?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that's certainly a big question, and I don't have the answer for everybody. I can only kind of answer for myself. I think the best thing that we can do is prepare ourselves for what we think are the consequences. I don't really think the Fed's going to necessarily disappear as we know it. The dollar is still the reserve currency, probably will be for a while, unless something sudden happens, which it could. But we know what the possibilities are, so we can prepare ourselves. By having gold, silver, Bitcoin, farmland. Just don't put a bunch of assets in the dollar. Just be smart about it. Don't base your existence on the dollar. So if it does go to crap suddenly, you're protected. I predict more the same of what we've had, just a gradual plunder, where they just kind of boil the frogs gradually, don't upset anybody, just kind of siphon 10% off every year, and everybody stays cool with it. So they're not gonna risk, something sudden happening if they can possibly avoid it. But people seem to be okay with just a 5-10% average inflation. And just blame it on greedy corporations. So as long as people accept that, that's what they're going to do, because it's a proven plan. It works great. Why would they mess it up? Why would they want to topple the?
I hear you 100%, James. I've been saying this for years. People are like, "Oh, it's going to end tomorrow." I mean, somebody asked me recently. Actually, it was about 3 months ago. I could remember the day. And he was like, "Do you think it's going to all end within the next year?" And I'm like, "Well, at one point I actually thought that about 10 years ago. And I thought that for every year. And then I realized I'm at the point where it's been 5 years. It's probably not going to happen for another 5 years. It's probably going to happen in 10. Well, those 5 years went by, and the way I'm seeing everything, it's so gradual. We may not see it for another 5 or 10 years. But in the meantime, we're going to see a lot of, people's standard of living is going to continue to go down. There's no way to get around that, because that's what inflation is, Yeah. So,
exactly.
What do you think about it, Anthony?
Well, I think of that commercial, because Obama, but I think of it where somebody should make a commercial and just say, yeah, I know it's funny. Well, this is what's going in my head right now, and it should just be because you lose. Or because we lose, and there's no way around it. Yes, it is inevitable that this dollar will collapse at some point, and I've made the case from so many different angles. And just like you said, you used to think it was going to happen, and a lot of us thought it was going to happen immediately, but years went by. But it will eventually happen. So, and here's the thing: no matter what happens, if World War III starts, if there's another terrorist attack on the scale of 9/11,
because Obama,
something of that nature, all of these things are going to lead. Yeah, all of these things will lead to the dollar collapsing. Okay, now as far as some points to go with it. Janet Yellen, she's on the board of governors of the Federal Reserve. Okay, she worked under Clinton. All right, so you see the same exact people that are just going through their motions. And I can't
the conflicts
speak for everybody,
of interest,
but I certainly. Yeah, exactly. She went to Harvard. No surprise there. I mean, when you look at the people that are in charge of pretty much all the top positions in government, especially.
Well, I mean, who's in charge of the Fed? I mean, what does that come down to? I mean, who's bigger than the Fed?
Goldman Sachs. Right.
Yeah. Goldman Sachs. But I mean, who's bigger than Goldman Sachs? A collective that's
really,
bigger.
Really.
The Rothschilds.
I mean,
right. Technically, the Rothschilds, and I would say the International Monetary Fund. I mean, look at where your income taxes go. They go to the IMF, and everybody in every different little plantation farm across the world gets taxed and their money gets funneled through the IMF, and the IMF goes into these countries and enslaves them. Look at what they did to Jamaica. All right, look at what they did to all these third world countries that may have almost been first world countries, and they destroyed them and enslaved them.
And you know what, Keith? That was actually my main point. Is when he said quantitative infinity. Okay, well, this is what they're doing. Is they're going to turn the United States into a third world country. Literally, where it's. I mean, if you see a collapse, you'll see inflation and hyperinflation and all that, and that will happen, a run on the dollar. But other than that, with just the QE, so this is what I'm saying is either way, we lose. Either way, the dollar is going to bottom out, and there's nothing that we could do on it about it that I could think of on a mass scale other than prepare. I do agree with what James said. Gold and silver are good. I'm somebody who I'm definitely with gold and I'm definitely with silver, but I'm huge on food, water filters, barter items like whiskey, tobacco, and obviously lead and weapons. Lead is going to be the most precious metal there is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm 100%. I think. My number one metal I want to stock up is lead and then silver, and gold is really I don't have that kind of money. If I had $100,000 laying around, I would probably invest it in gold. But because I don't have that kind of money, I invest in silver and food.
Silver is actually the better buy.
And you can't eat silver or lead, so you need food.
Well, silver is the best buy because the Fed's been keeping the price of silver down. They've been, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Well,
manipulating.
They've been artificially manipulating the market with silver, and silver is something that they use in commercial items and stuff. And this is a little known fact, but there's actually less silver on the planet than gold, and there's a whole lot that goes into this topic. I know we don't have the time to get into it, but silver is definitely a better buy. I do believe they're keeping the prices of that down now, so a lot of people could buy tangible silver, because what good is paper? What good is saying I have a whole bunch of stocks and paperwork that says I have silver when that's just not the case. They could just say no, you lose.
Yeah,
that's what happened
but
with
if you have lead, if you have lead, then let me show up with my lead, and then you tell me how much you own your silver and your food, and while my kids are starving. This is why it's so important for people to have to stock up on lead, because once you have families starting to roam the countryside with their hungry kids, you try telling them that they're going to leave your house while you have food stocked up and you don't have lead to protect yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, my biggest take on this whole thing of everything that's going down, and I'm really going to take a bold stand on this, is with the way that things are progressing, with the alternative media constantly exposing everything that, the top levels of government, the lower levels of government, anything that goes on, with the Fed spending, there's got to be some sort of shift. They've got to start changing their game up, because, I mean, the same old is starting to slowly decay. People are starting to realize that, we're just paying taxes to fund wars we can't afford and services that are no good. Eventually things are going to come to a breaking point where, it's
gonna break down, and we're gonna see more breakdown as society continues this downward trend.
And I really think they're going to capitalize on that whole breakdown of everything. And I think it's going to be, they're going to try to shift the blame onto a more people-oriented group of the government, like Congress, for example. Things that still do have a vestigial effect on the way things go in this country. I feel like when people call into Congress in multitude, eventually things do sort of get done to a certain extent, maybe not to the extent that they like them.
Never
but
seen it happen. Never seen it happen.
well, you know, I feel like it does take a different national direction.
Hey, we're coming down
it.
to the end of the program here, and I want to give Anthony and Babb, you know, a little shout out here. James Babb, you have Do Not Fly. Are you still there? James Babb?
You're breaking up on me. Yes, I'm here. You're breaking up on me.
Do you want to go ahead and plug your website, donotfly.org?
Well, it's wewon'tfly.com as our TSA-related website. Most of the conversations happen on our associated Facebook page, so check that out, too, if you're concerned about what the TSA has been doing to us. You know, we've been sort of, you know, raising some hell on that for about 3 years now and had some success. So that, you know, but there's still a lot of, most of the work is yet to be done there. So, yeah, come check that out. It's wewon'tfly.com. And, you know, certainly love to hear from you.
All right. Well, thanks for giving us a call. Your input was much appreciated. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right.
And Anthony, go ahead. Shoot off. Tell us about your show.
1
minute.
Actually, you know, I'd like to yield back the balance of my time and say, you know, you know, check out James Babb and what he's doing and wewon'tfly.com and the Big Plantation, which you guys are now doing on the FPRN radio network. You know, awesome show, guys. The FPRN radio network is just knocking it out of the box every single week. So, you know, people listen to these guys and check into it.
And it is an awesome show. Today was a blast. Thank you, everybody, for listening to The Big Plantation. You can find us on Facebook.com/The Big Plantation. You can also find us at FPRNradio.com/The Big Plantation. I'm Keith, and Jamie and Mike would like to thank you for listening as well. And we'll see you next Sunday, 7 to 9 p.m. live on FPRNradio.com.